Hey there, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another Star Trek review. And this one, I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit controversial because this time I talk about the underrated, yes, I said, I think this film's a bit underrated, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Now, I would say it's the one I like the least of the first six movies, but watching this again, I really do enjoy this movie. It has its flaws, I'll admit that. I just don't think this is nearly as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I appreciate the story William Shatner was trying to tell about false gods and people who are a bit too heavy-handed in their religion and how that can lead you down the wrong path. And you think you're doing the right thing, and then you find out that's not really what it ends up cracking to be. This does a wonderful job with the three characters of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and their friendship. I remember a long time ago I talked with my friend Effrey, and he mentioned, I think he's a fan of this movie too. And he says it's kind of like a buddy movie with the three of them. And I can see that, because of the films, this does a great job. It really does showcase the bond those three have with each other. Uh, they do a wonderful job with that. The Score by Jared Goldsmith is beautiful. It's one of my favorite scores, and definitely the most underrated score of the Star Trek films. Jared Goldsmith had not done a score for a Star Trek movie since the motion picture, which is my favorite score of any of the Star Trek films. And this is a close second. Jared Goldsmith just worked beautifully with Star Trek. That's not to not James Horner. I think he did a good job with Star Trek 2 and 3, and the composer for Part 4, and so forth. But yeah, Jared Goldsmith, my favorite composer, he did a wonderful job with this. It also has some fun set pieces. I like when they have to manually target the shuttle into the Enterprise and the way it crashes into it. I love certain lines of dialogue. Why does God need a starship? I love that line. I'll say it again. Why does God need a starship? The actor Lawrence Luckinbill, who plays Sybok, Spock's brother, I thought he did a wonderful job. He did a wonderful job. I never understood the hate for why, oh my god, it's a Vulcan who's laughing. So what? I mean, they perfectly explain in the movie. Spock perfectly explains how he, Sybok, went against the grain. He wanted to embrace the animal passions of his ancestors. He was a revolutionary. They say that in dialogue, so it makes perfect sense why he laughs. And to me, that does show, oh, okay, what's this about? A Vulcan who laughs? What's this all about? A Vulcan who's in tone with his emotions? And I like that he's a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy. He's not a one-dimensional villain. He's a guy who, by the end, he's like, I apologize, and he says, I'm sorry, brother, and does the thing with Spock. I never meant for this to happen. And he gives his life to help the three of them. Give me your pain. Show me your pain. And speaking of which, that's another great scene when you're seeing Spock's and McCoy's pain. McCoy's pain with the euthanasia of his father. That his father was sick and he was in pain. He wanted to die, so McCoy did it. But then sometime later, a cure was found. Or with Spock when there's the birth, he sees the birth of himself, and his father goes, "So human." I love some of the lines that Kirk says. I don't want my pain taken away. I need my pain. And what was the exact dialogue of the others? Like, pain is what makes us keep going. Pain is what keeps us going. And I think this has a lot of good stuff going for it. Yes, I could do without the silly horror dancing they did. There are other ways to do. Hell, you could snip that scene out and just not have it be a diversion. They just go in with horses and boom. Yes, you did not need Scotty bumping his head as if it's a gag on Three Stooges. And yes, I'll give you the effects are not up to par with the other, even part one, let alone part two, three, four, or the one after this, part six. Which there are many reasons for that. ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which were working on the effects for Star Trek 2 and 3 and 4, they could not do this film. They had their hands full because they were doing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, they were doing Ghostbusters 2, so they had to go somewhere else. They found people. This guy worked on Little Shop of Horrors, and the Little Shop of Horrors effects are great, but that's not the same as effects, especially for an ambitious idea where you're having this guy who's a religious fanatic, which was sort of William Shatner's take on televangelists, which I thought was an interesting idea, and it wasn't a carbon copy. But at the same time, this does, in a way, feel like an episode of the original series. But unlike Insurrection, which I thought was done shitty, I thought this was done well. So maybe that's why I mentioned the effects, and they just, it didn't work out the best. But I don't know, watching it again, it makes me want to grab this on Blu-ray to see how it looked, how it would look on Blu-ray. Because the effects didn't bother me as much as it does other people. Again, maybe because my mind checks out with these older films on DVD. I'm like, well, it's all 80s films, and maybe because it reminds me of the original series, and I could deal with the effects on those. Maybe that's why. Maybe because I don't know. The effects didn't bother me as much as it did other people. Again, I can say they're not up to snuff of the other Star Trek movies, but at the same time, they didn't bother me as much. Maybe because I was into the characters, the story, the score, that the effects just kind of, I don't know, they just went over my bald head. I'm like, okay, yeah, I like the scenes with the rocket boots. Granted, when Spock goes down to save Kirk, it's not the best rear projection. I'm not sure how you call it. I liked when the three of them are on the rocket boots inside the Enterprise. Granted, from what I gather, the Enterprise does not have 80 decks. They have maybe 20. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how many decks are in an Enterprise. I don't know how big the fucking thing is. I didn't even know. I knew that because I talked with my friend Michael Keane, Phantasm. He's like, the Enterprise has 20 decks. I'm like, it does? I don't know how much. This is a new Enterprise, so maybe it has 80 decks. I don't know. So I don't know. I just didn't. I never would have thought of it until he brought it up. And even then, I'm like, okay, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 80. I don't remember them saying how many decks there are. And again, this is a new Enterprise they built after the destruction of Part 3, so maybe they made it bigger. I don't know. Man, I'm just bullshitting myself, but I like this film. I like this film quite a bit. To the point I made my own uh, fan edit. Or at least tried with editing, snipping stuff, and so forth. Using stuff that I found on YouTube. There's this one nice guy who he has a fan edit of the film, and he gave me a link to see it because he did his own stuff to it, and I wanted to give the guy a shout out because he was very nice enough to do that. It's the least I can do. I'm not going to give out the link and stuff because he did this, and then I'm just made my own fan edit just for my own fun to watch at home. But I like making fan edits. I did a fan edit of Die Hard 4 with the theatrical and the PG-13 versions put together. I did a fan edit of Hard Target, the Evil Dead trilogy, Delimited Productions. So found him on Facebook. They're very nice of him that he gave me a link to give it a watch. So that was very cool of him to do. And I know William Shatner at one point wanted to do a director's cut. He wanted a director's edition where he wanted to go back and fix up the effects. Much like how Robert Wise did with Star Trek the Motion Picture. But Paramount would not let William Shatner do that, which I think is stupid. Because I think if you had the budget to redo the effects, here's what you do. You let him do what you let Robert Wise do, right? And there are easy ways. I know, because when I made my fan edit, I did it. It was very easy. You just snip out Scotty bumping himself on the head. You just snip out Uhura dancing naked. And you fix the effects with the background with the shuttle. Just put like, instead of 30, 40, 50, just put 2, 5, 7, 10 in the background with the numbers. Because certain the stuff they've done with these editions, like the motion picture, I think that's something you could do. I won't say easy, because I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure you can find a way to do that. And I would love to see it. But Paramount would not let William Shatner do that, and I think that's pretty shitty. And William Shatner, I know a lot of people badmouth the guy for directing the film, but I think he was at least trying. And they believed in the idea, but then in the middle of it, they said, no, we don't believe in your idea anymore, so we don't want to give you the money. And then, for example, William Shatner wanted these 10 Rockmen type of creatures. They're like, no, we're not going to give you 10. Well, first it was going to be a bunch, then we'll give you 10. Now we're not going to give you 10, then we're just going to give you 1. And then the 1, which I actually like the look of it on the... I know a lot of people make fun of it, but again, maybe it just reminds me of the original series, which I enjoy. I thought the rock creature kind of looked pretty cool with the sort of slanty eyes and like practical animatronic mouth movements. I liked it. I would have liked to have seen that in the movie. But they probably, I don't know, they didn't like it, so. But just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's a piece of shit. I disagree. The cinematography at the beginning of the film in the desert, where Sybok rides up to this guy who looks like Michael Berryman's brother. And he does this thing where he shows people their pain. And, you know, I know your pain. Let me help you with your pain. And it gets him to join his cause. The Vulcan laughing, that didn't bother me because of the character. If it was Spock laughing out of the blue, which, by the way, they did that in the original series, like when Spock's like, Jim! I'm just glad that you're okay. And, yeah, that's because he's half human. But they explain why Sybok... It's not like they didn't have an explanation. And like I said, I love the music by Jerry Goldsmith. Especially when Kirk is climbing the mountain. I think that's beautiful Jerry Goldsmith music. Definitely one of the big strengths of the film. And I love the humor with the 3 characters. When Kirk's climbing and McCoy's like, God damn you, what the hell are you doing? I'm a nervous wreck. I'm not careful. I'll end up talking to myself. McCoy, Deforest Kelley says that while looking at Shatner. And then Spock with his rocket boots. I like the rocket boots. I think that's a cool idea. I mean, it's sci-fi. Why not? You realize the gravity of your situation. I don't think you realize the gravity of your situation. No, I think I do. Why don't you bug McCoy? And Spock's like, I believe Dr. McCoy's not in the best moods. McCoy's like, God damn irresponsibles playing games with life. Just McCoy being pissed off. Kurt falls, Spock saves him. Even a little bits with like Sulu and Chekhov where they get lost. They're like, oh shit, what do we do? Well, we don't want to embarrass ourselves, so... Oh, we're caught in a blizzard. That Chekhov's like... And they're always like, oh, really? That's 70 degrees and fine and dandy. Oh, look at that. Everything is okay now. I thought it worked fine. It's not like fucking fart jokes. Like in Michael Bay's shitty Super Chuds Ninja Turtle movies where someone's getting a boner and talking about fucking farting in people's faces. It's not like the humor's that. I'll give you the Scotty bumping himself. I'll give you that. I don't care for that. But then they sort of throw away the good stuff. In the campfire, when you have this nice dialogue where Kirk goes, I knew I wouldn't die. Oh, how? Because the two of you were with me. Because I've always known that I'll die alone. Which, in a way, sadly, he kind of did in Generations. I mean, he was with Picard, but he wasn't with McCoy or Spock, so sadly, that kind of came to be. But that does, to me, that film doesn't fucking exist. But it was a great piece of dialogue. And people make fun of the row, row, row your boat. To me, it was people having fun, goofing off, and McCoy's trying to explain to Spock, we're supposed to be having a good time. And Spock's like, oh, I'm sorry. Were we having a good time? McCoy's like, God, I liked him better when he was dead. Which sounds like a harsh line, but the way Deforest Kelley said that, I thought he pulled it off very well. Or like when they get picked up by Uhura and they're going to the Enterprise. And Shatner goes, all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer it by. And McCoy says, oh, that's from that guy. And Spock says, it was from that guy. And McCoy's like, are you sure? Yes, I'm very much have learned the classics. And McCoy's like, then how come you don't know row, row, row your boat? And Spock has this sort of look on his face. I like the character interactions in this movie. And even though the ship is broken up, they're supposed to save these delegates on this planet who are prisoners, this planet for galactic peace. Spock realizes it's Sybok and tells a little about, oh, I knew him when I was a kid. He embraces animal passions. He was a revolutionary. They go on to rescue the hostages. Sulu takes out the lights. Kirk kicks one guy, throws one. Spock, even Vulcan pinches a horse. Which I thought was an interesting idea. And I'm like, okay, I buy it. Kirk shoots this Gatling gun, has this fight with this cat lady. Who, hot. Cat lady's hot. Throws her ass in this sort of fish tank. And the hostages are with the bad guy. And they get caught. I like the scene with the emergency landing. Plan B. I love the look where Spock's like. They even check off Scotty on the Enterprise like, what is Plan B? And Scotty's like, you gotta be kidding me. I love the attempt of it and going through and crashing through and Kirk then getting in a fight with Sybok. Spock doesn't shoot him. And Kirk just can't believe why Spock didn't shoot him. And they're putting the bridge. So I ought to knock you on your goddamn ass. And McCoy's like, you want me to hold him, Jim? He's like, stay out of it. And Spock then explains, he's my brother. And even Kirk is like, you just made that up. No, I didn't. And McCoy's like, you never cease to amaze me. And Spock's like, nor I myself. And that's, I would say that's one of the best parts of the movie, is the trifecta of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and their interactions with each other. And in a way, this is sort of going to the discovery adventure aspect of the first movie, which I really enjoy. I mean, Star Trek: The Motion Picture is my second favorite Star Trek film. This is more of the exploring strange new worlds. And it sort of fits with a lot of the episodes where was it the Squire of Gothos with the guy who would play tricks on people, and Kurt slapped the shit out of him, Trelane or whatever. And then I forget what the hell the episode was. There was another one where Kurt was supposed to kill someone and he did, and he showed mercy. I don't know. I don't know if it was the end of the Gorn episode. Because like there was some like godlike figure going, "Oh yeah, I'm really impressed. You know, maybe one day you'll be like us." It might be that at the end of that episode. Like there's been false gods and quite a few of the old. So you know, I like that they didn't copy the other movies. It was trying to be its own film, and I kind of get what Shatner was going for. If maybe they gave him the budget he wanted for the finale of the film, and maybe if they could have waited, or even if they did like in 1988, because 86 was when the last one came out. If they said, okay, we're going to start in 87 and release it for 88, because yeah, I remember like Star Trek 2 was 82, 3 was 84, 4 was 86, so then 2 years later, 88. Maybe if they had done that, the 1988 album, maybe they wouldn't have been so. They could have done the effects, so then that's one thing people wouldn't complain about, and then maybe they would give Shatner some leeway on, with the other stuff. That would have been really cool to see, but you know, unfortunately, it didn't work. That's why I would love to see Shatner do a director's edition of this. I think a lot of people would be curious. I think even people who do not like the film would be curious because they would see, you know what? Let me do this another shot. Is this better? Is this worse? They would at least be curious. And there are fans of the movie. There's not many, but I know my friend Michael Keane Phantasm. He liked the film. My friend Michael CB, he didn't hate the film when he talked about it in his review long ago, a few years ago. I think my friend Effrey likes the film. I will watch this over of any of the films after Part 6. Yes, I said it. I like First Contact. People don't be pissed at me for it. I like this more. I know people's like, this bullshit. I like First Contact. I have issues with it as well. The stuff on the board is pretty cool with the Enterprise. Stuff with James Cromwell, not really that interesting. With the humor and Deanna Troi getting drunk and and this has flaws too, but I think it has a lot of good notes to it. When Scotty gets him out, don't you know a jailbreak when you see one? They have that big like elevator type thing that they go up and they don't climb up. We'll get a good workout. McCoy goes, or a heart attack. And Spot gets the rocket boost and they go up. And Sybok arrives and says, we're going to the Great Barrier, which is in the middle of the galaxy. And it makes McCoy and Spot see their pain, like I said. And Sybok's like, I saw a vision from God. And Shatner goes, you're mad. He's like, am I? You'll see. They go through the Great Barrier. One thing for flaws for me, one thing is I would like if there was more trial, if there was more trouble getting into the Great Barrier, because it seemed like they went in very easily. I don't know if that was going to be in the script and they got taken out because of the budget, but it seemed like they went into from here through the Great Barrier very simply. It's like, well, how the hell did no one else make it through this? It seemed like it took 10 seconds. So maybe there's some trouble and some friction, like some suspense. We're not going to make it. Are we going to make it? You know, deep down, you know it's going to make it because it's a Star Trek movie. They're not going to kill everybody unless you want to make the worst Star Trek movie ever. But, you know, an attempt to suspense and trouble getting through, I would have appreciated that. But then they get into this planet. And McCoy's like, is this real? And Kirk goes, if it is. And if we are, then life is a dream. I like the pan where it goes to sort of an old school steering wheel for a ship, and is where no man has gone before. And it's this blue glowing planet, and they go to the planet, these four, and that's where you get that line. What does God need with a starship? He gets hit, Spock gets hit. I love McCoy's line, you don't ask the Almighty for his ID. Sybok helps the three out and deals with this alien life form. Meanwhile, the Enterprise is shot up by the Klingons. Kirk gets Spock and McCoy beamed up. I like when Kirk's by himself in the shuttle in the dark. For like a little bit, 30 seconds, it almost seemed like a horror movie. And I like that. Sort of that silence and just the glow of his face. And then this sort of light coming in the background and these sort of lightning bolts trying to hit him. And he gets saved, beamed up by the Klingons, and it's Spock's there. He's gone on there. And he's like, man, I thought I was going to die. And Spock is going, not possible. You were never alone. I thought that was a nice line. And Shatner's ready to hug him, and Spock's going, Captain, not in front of the Klingons. And yes, if you're going to talk about flaws, I'll give you that the effects are not up to snuff with the first 4 movies, let alone part 6. Which is why I'd be curious to see what this looks like on Blu-ray. When I did my fan edit, I found a Blu-ray rip, and look at the Blu-ray rip, it looked pretty damn good. The effects didn't look that bad on the Blu-ray rip. The going through the Great Barrier Reef, Great Barrier, no reef, the Great Barrier. Would have been nice if there's some friction, some trouble getting there to show that, oh, this is why a lot of ships haven't made it through. I have a little bit of suspense in there. Cut out the horror dancing. Cut out Scotty bumping his head. And the ending, it seems a little bit anticlimactic because he wanted to do a lot of different stuff and they just didn't have the budget for it, so it's just this sort of beam coming after Kirk and the Klingon shoot and blow it up fairly easily. That would have been nice if Kirk got those like rockmen, those 10 rockmen he wanted. That would have been interesting. For me, it would. But despite those problems, which is why this is my least favorite of the 6, when I see the scene at the end with Kirk speaking to Spock and McCoy, and he's like, maybe God's not out there, maybe he's right here in the heart. And then Spock is going, Sybok, I've lost a brother. And Kirk goes, I lost a brother once. I was lucky I got him back. And you see like nice reactions from Spock and McCoy. And it ends with the 3 of them attempting camping again. It ends on the 3 of them around campfire, camera going to the trees, beautiful Jerry Goldsmith music. And it made me smile. It made me go, despite its issues, this has a good intentions and has a good heart on its shoulder. I like this, what Kevin Thomas at LA Times, as much a spiritual odyssey as a space adventure, and it's all the richer for it. I appreciate what William Shatner is trying to do. And I think he did succeed in quite a bit of stuff that a lot of people don't mention. As well as the writers and the actors. the bond between Kurt Spock and McCoy, the character Sybok, as well as the actor Lawrence Luckinbill, the beautiful score by Jerry Goldsmith. When it's in the deserts, you have some nice cinematography. You have some fun lines of dialogue, or some sweet, heartfelt moments of dialogue. The moments where they see their pain. It has a lot of good stuff to it that not a lot of people mention, and I think it deserves... If you don't like the film, I can understand, but I think it deserves a bit more than it's gotten. It's considered the worst Star Trek film. I'm sorry, I disagree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. There's more heart in this film than any of the films J.J. Abrams have been a part of. There is. There's more heart to it. There's more soul to it, despite its imperfections. And yeah, I wish William Shatner got the chance to do his director's edition. If Paramount weren't lazy, you could do it now. Hell, you could do it now. This is 89. You do it for 2019. It'd be what, 89, 99, 09. Jesus. 30th anniversary. Believe me, if I had the money and power, and if I ran Paramount, guess what? That'd be better money used than you fucking up the Transformers and fucking up the Ninja Turtle franchises. That'd be money well spent, in my opinion. But that's my thoughts on Star Trek V. The Final Frontier, a bit underrated, in my opinion. Considering the low rating it got, and the low ranks, and the being called the worst, it's far from the worst to me. I'm sorry. Nemesis, Insurrection, Generations, JJ's films, fuck. Those can eat my ass. So, Star Trek V, I enjoy this movie. Thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.